Just hope that's aimed properly. Okay, so I want to go over the syllabus with you quickly. I'll show you where to find it first as well. Most of you have you've all been here at least one semester, right? You've used Georgia View, you know what you're doing with Georgia View basically. Okay. I'll make the assumption that you do. Come on. There we go. Okay, so any second now. All right, so this is what the course homepage looks like. To get to the syllabus, right, go into the syllabus and assignments folder. Syllabus is the first link, and all of the course assignments that aren't in the writing textbook are already up here, right? So you can go and peruse those whenever you want to. But yeah, this is how you get to the course syllabus. Okay, now as far as the syllabus itself is concerned, policies and all that shit. Right, so important things here, right, my office hours. Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm in the office from 1 to 3. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm in the office from 2 to 4. These are the times that I have to be in the office. They are not the only times that I can be in the office, right? So if you need to talk to me about something, something related to the class, an assignment, whatever, and you're not available during my regular office hours, get in touch with me. We can make an appointment, right? We can figure out something else. The other thing I want you to note here, right, is that I do not check the Georgia View email. I don't like Georgia View's email widget, so I just ignore it. If you want to get in touch with me, email me at this address here on the syllabus, right? michael.moir@gsw.edu. That is the best way to get a hold of me. Do not try to contact me through Georgia View. I don't check that box, I won't answer. Okay, there are 4 books that you're going to need to purchase for this course, or rent, or whatever. I don't care how you get them, so long as you get them, right? The first is the Norton Introduction to Literature, Portable 11th edition, right? It looks like this. It is available in the bookstore. If you have purchased something that doesn't look like this, you probably bought the wrong book. That's not always a disaster. Sometimes it'll have the same stuff in it, but the page numbers might be different. The thing we're going to be using first, and the thing you need to get your hands on earliest, is Writing Analytically, 7th edition, by David Rosenwasser and Jill Stephen. The copy they're selling in the bookstore won't have the blue instructor edition thing around it, but otherwise it looks like this. This is the thing we're going to start working with right away. So in case you don't have the textbook for today, what I'm going to do is post the first chapter to Georgia View in the syllabus and assignments folder, so that you will be able to read that for Thursday, and so that you'll be able to do the homework assignment. But then you will be on your own, right? Because it is actually illegal for me to keep copying and pasting stuff from this textbook, right? And Lord knows I don't need any legal trouble. Okay, the other 2 things you're going to need to purchase, we're going to be looking at towards the end of the class. So there are 2 plays, Bertolt Brecht's Mother Courage and Her Children, and Tom Stoppard's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, right? You'll need these towards the end of the semester. So it's probably better to just buy all your textbooks at once if you can afford to, but if you can't, these are the ones that you can wait on. But just remember that these plays, when they show up towards the end of the syllabus, aren't in that Norton book, that you need to find separate copies of those. I've also color-coded all of the textbooks on the syllabus, so you'll know which textbook you need to be using for each assignment based on the color in the syllabus. Right, so when I want you to be doing readings from the Norton, right, those will be in green. When I want you to be doing readings or assignments for writing analytically, those will be in red, so on and so forth, right? Everybody gets it, everybody's with me. Okay, if at any point I'm going too fast or you have questions about anything, just stop me. I don't mind being interrupted. All right, so as far as your grade is concerned, 2 major papers. The first is going to be an answer to a philosophical question that I'm going to provide to you. That'll be worth 15 points. The second paper is going to be a research paper on a literary text. That's going to be worth 25 points. Participation is 10% of your grade, right? That doesn't sound like a lot, but remember, if you're borderline, that can be the difference between an A and a B, right? Or a B and a C, or a C and a D. And you need at least a C to not have to take this class again. So when I mention participation, right, I want to actually see you actively engaged with me and with each other, right? I want to hear you talking. Raise your hand. Don't just sort of show up and expect that is going to get you participation points, right? Ask questions. Speak back. That's what's going to get you participation points. You're also going to be doing short papers, 500 words each, 5 each, on philosophy topics and on literary topics. Those will come later in the semester. We'll explain them in more detail when you have to do them. But the instructions for them are already posted. And there'll be homework assignments and writing analytically that'll be worth a total of 10% of your grade. All right. Any questions so far? No? We're good? All right. Great. Okay, so as far as our policies here are concerned, we do have an attendance policy in this class. You are permitted to miss 3 classes. It doesn't matter why you're not here. It doesn't matter if you bring me a note or whatever, right? You get 3, right? Think of them as like personal days at a job. If you miss more than 3 classes, for each absence beyond the 3rd, you're going to start losing points from your final average, right? 2 points from the final average for each day beyond the 3rd, right? So you do need to be here. If you cannot be here for some reason, right? If you have some legitimate reason why you cannot be in class or why you have to leave class early or whatever, right? Then let me know as soon as you know you won't be in class. And if you're going to be absent for an extended period of time for some reason, right? If you have a family problem or a medical problem or any such, you don't have to, pour out your heart to me in detail, right? You don't have to say anything that you find embarrassing. But do let me know and don't just disappear, okay? If you have a disability that one other thing about attendance too. You probably noticed I started class at exactly 9:30 on the dot, right? I am always going to do that, right? I don't wait for you if you're late. If you are late, right, you just miss whatever happens at the beginning of class. I'm not going to go back over it. And I'm going to count you tardy, right? 3 tardies will equal 1 absence because, frankly, lateness is rude and disruptive. Right. Students with disabilities. So if you have a disability that entitles you to any sort of accommodations, right? A note taker or a separate testing room, things like that. You don't talk to me directly about that, right? You go to the Disability Services office in, what the hell is the name of that building that's over there?
It's
the one the registrar is in, but it's, it's in the same, it's in the same building as the registrar, but up on the top floor. Because it makes sense to put the Disabilities office on the top floor. All right. Anyway. They're the ones you want to talk to if you're supposed to get any sort of special accommodations, right? So if you have a diagnosed disability that entitles you to accommodations, talk to them. They'll send me a letter. I sign the letter and send it back. They won't tell me what your disability is. We never have to have that awkward conversation. And you'll get whatever accommodations you're entitled to. How many of you have been to the University Writing Center for an assignment before? All right, a whole one of you. Great. So the Writing Center is located over in the ACE building. It's this building over here. You're leaving. If you leave the building and make a right, it's the one that's immediately to our right. I do give extra credit on paper assignments if you go to the Writing Center, right? So if you go to the Writing Center for paper 1 or paper 2, that'll be a sort of half-letter grade bump, right? So, your B minus becomes a B, your B plus becomes an A minus, so on and so forth, right? Definitely worth your while to take advantage of that. Academic dishonesty. So what qualifies as academic dishonesty for this class, right? I'm just going to briefly sketch this out now. We'll talk about it in more detail when you have actual assignments due, right? Dishonest work would be first, any work you turn in and put your name on that you didn't do. This includes cutting and pasting from a source that you don't cite. This includes buying a paper from somebody else. And I'm just going to say one thing quickly about buying papers from some of like these online paper mills, that sort of thing, right? You are getting ripped off because usually all the person who is writing that paper does is go to the same websites you might have done to plagiarize and cut and paste things from them. So it's actually easier to catch those than you might think it is. Don't buy papers off the internet. Bad idea. You're wasting your money. And you risk getting expelled from school, right? So any work that you represent as your own that is not your own, that's academic dishonesty, right? Any work you did for another class that you turn in for this one. Also counts as academic dishonesty, right? So say you did a paper for Comp 1 that you think is suitable for one of my assignments, and you turned that in as your paper, right? That's not okay. You can't do that. You can't reuse a paper you've already submitted for another class. Now, if you want to write a paper on the same topic, right, you can use that earlier paper as a basis, right? But you need to come and talk to me about how we could redo that paper to suit the new topic, right? To suit the new assignment. But you can't just submit a paper to me that you've already submitted to someone else. Now, the penalties for academic dishonesty, right? I always report cases of academic dishonesty, partly because I've just been burned too many times giving people second chances. So if I catch you with a plagiarized paper, with a purchased paper, or with a paper that you submitted for another class, I'm going to send that letter to the student conduct office. Whatever other arrangements we make, right? Other arrangements will be sort of situational, right? The extent of the dishonesty, whether it was intentional or accidental, that sort of thing, right? But the very least penalty you will get for turning in a dishonest work is a failing grade on that assignment. And remember that if you get 3 letters racked up in the student conduct office, that means suspension. So, it's not worth sort of playing with fire here. This is taking a long time, isn't it? Yeah, they make us talk about a lot of policies now. Title IX, sex discrimination. The reason there's a statement here, right, the law changed recently, and I have to keep you all informed about it, right? So if any of you bring to my attention a situation of sexual harassment, gender discrimination, sexual assault, right? you must know that I am required by law to report it to our Title IX coordinator, right? I can't keep it just between us, right? I can't keep it a secret. I'm not allowed to. So if you come to me and tell me about any such situation that falls under Title IX, under sex discrimination laws, I have to tell the Title IX coordinator about it, right? I don't have a choice in the matter. This doesn't mean don't tell your instructors things, right? If you see something or experience something that is genuinely unjust or unfair, tell us about it, but you also do need to know that we have to report it. All right, and the final policy statement we have in here is something I'm actually not allowed to talk about at all. There is a sort of university system-wide gag order on faculty about it, but the information on campus carry is posted on the USG website, right? I've got the links here on the syllabus that you can go to for any information about the campus carry law, but yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Why?
So, I think, this is just speculation on my part, but I think it is to make sure that I don't provide anyone with any misinformation that can be used by someone with an axe to grind to sue the university or to sue the University System of Georgia. So I can't tell you what your rights are under campus carry. You have to go there to find out what they are. All right. So that's all that. So the course calendar is below that. I keep important dates you will need to remember in the third column here, right, the notes column. So for example, if you have not yet actually registered for this class, though this doesn't apply to any of you, you are all registered because you're all on my damn roster. The last day to add the class is Thursday the 11th, right? So if you haven't added a class that you want to take by Thursday the 11th, then it's just not happening. If you don't wish to continue in the class, your last day to drop the class as though you were never enrolled in it at all is the 16th. So that would be next Tuesday, right? I put paper due dates and things like that in the notes section as well. By and large, we're going to see in the rest of the sort of Tuesday, Thursday, day-to-day, what we're doing on any individual. So for example, today is review syllabus and introduction to analysis, and the homework is what you're going to be doing for next time, right? So for next time, you're going to be reading the first chapter in Writing Analytically and doing assignment 3 on page 37.
So that's due Thursday.
That'll be due Thursday, yes. For next Tuesday, then you're reading chapter 2 in Writing Analytically and doing assignment 3 on page 68, right? So the homework is always what we're going to be doing next period, next time we meet, right? Okay, so any questions about the syllabus, about course policies, about any of this shit that I'm actually allowed to talk about? We good?
Good.
All right. Glad to hear it. So, I want to start by just sort of getting you used to the idea of what we're going to be doing primarily in this course. What I want to have you doing by, say, late mid-semester is thinking less like student writers and a little bit more like philosophers. So we're going to be doing that largely through a focus not so much on grammar and mechanics, although grammar and mechanics are important, but primarily on analysis of texts, of situations, of even physical spaces, right? Now, what do I mean by analysis? When I use the word analysis, what does the word analysis mean? When you analyze something, what are you doing?
Are you like picking it apart and saying how it works?
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. To analyze something is essentially to take some sort of unified whole, right? and break it down into its parts. So that you can see how these parts fit together. Or pull out parts that seem particularly important or particularly weird and try to figure out what it is that you find so troubling about them, right? What is it that makes these things weird? What is it that makes these things worth our attention, right? So analysis starts with close observation of detail, right? You take a given situation, you observe it closely, and you look for data points within that situation, right? You look for anything in that situation, that painting, that room, that person, that conversation, that poem, that strikes you as potentially interesting or important, right? So I want to start by just doing a quick observation exercise. I want you to look around the room, and I want you to tell me everything that you notice around this room. Like focus on focus on specific objects within the room. And not on things that you brought to the room or that I brought to the room, right? Focus just on what is intrinsic to this room, right? And tell me what sorts of things you see. Just start making observations. And be specific. It might help if you start by looking for anything that seems a little bit weird or off in the room.
That clock is not centered.
Okay. So the clock, you notice, is not centered. Do you notice anything else about the clock?
The time's wrong.
Yeah, time's wrong. That time is only right twice a day. Okay. So the clock is not centered, and the time is incorrect. The time is incorrect because the clock is broken. Anybody else? Yeah. Pardon? Oh, that? This is the thermostat, which is in a little cage so that I can't monkey with it. Right? So yeah, so we got the thermostat in a cage, right?
Is there a sticker on the light switch?
Yes. Can anybody read that sticker?
Energy crisis.
Is that all it says?
As much as you can read.
All right. Okay, so we can actually probably already see a small pattern developing here, right? We have the light switch with the sticker that says energy crisis. We have a clock that doesn't work. We have a thermostat that you can't do anything with or that you can't change. So does that demonstrate a particular kind of attitude towards electricity on campus?
Yeah.
Don't use it, right? Okay, so the pattern we recognize here, right, is, let's say, conservation of electricity, if not outright cheapness. And this is the thing you want to be doing, right? You want to look for details that you think fit together in some way, or that tell some kind of story, that tell you something about how this room is intended to be used, right? About how the designers of this room think, and how the users of this room are likely to respond. So keep that up. Keep looking for things that seem off or things that seem like they might be part of the pattern. You know, what about the desks? What do you notice about the desks?
They're all messed up.
Okay, what do we mean by all messed up? Can we be more specific?
Well, the paint or the finishing on it's peeling off.
Okay, yeah, the finish is peeling. Anything else you notice about the desks?
Just the sort of markings, markers, people drawing on it.
Okay, yeah, traces of students past, yes. Finishes peeling. They're marked up. No one has bothered to clean off those squiggles. What else? What about the size of the desks? And their weight?
I imagine they'd be pretty heavy.
Yeah, we got fairly big, clunky desks, right? Okay, what else? What else do you notice in the room? What do you notice? Do you notice anything about the whiteboards? Yeah, that one's completely clean, right? This one, in addition to what I've scribbled on it, right? You can see layers of what other people have written on it underneath, right? So we've got two whiteboards. One is clean. One is really dirty. Now, why do you think that one is clean?
It's new.
You can't get over there to write on this one.
Splash.
Yeah, the way the room is arranged, right? It would be a lot harder for me to use that whiteboard than it is to use this whiteboard, right? How is this room oriented? What way is everybody supposed to be facing? This way, right? And how can we tell that this is the way everybody's supposed to be facing?
Well, the desks are faced that way.
Yeah, the desks are all oriented this way, right? And because they're kind of big and clunky, it would be hard to move them to orient the room. I mean, it's not impossible, but it would be enough of a pain in the ass that would prevent most people from doing it, right? What else is oriented towards the front of the room?
That thing.
Okay, yeah, this thing is right here, but there's no particular reason necessarily why I couldn't control a screen over there from here, right? But yeah, as you were pointing out, is it Brian?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, as you were pointing out, the projector and the camera. Well, the camera I brought with me. The camera is not part of the room. That's mine. But yeah, the projector faces this way, right? So, projector faces front. So, what does all of this information tell us then about the way the designers of this building and the powers that be in this university expect this room to be used? What kind of teaching style is this classroom designed for? Is this designed for a class in which you sit around in a circle and everybody just discusses?
No.
Not really, right? Now, we could do that in here with a little bit of rearrangement, right? But it would be noisy and difficult, right? And the room clearly isn't designed for that. The room isn't set up for that. What is the room set up for? How does the designer of this room expect I'm going to be running this class?
Like a lecture.
Yeah, like a lecture from the front of the room, right? What else is in the room that I'm not using that indicates this is a lecture classroom?
I mean, that thing.
Well, there's that, there's the screen, right? Which I'm not using right now, but I reserve the right to use it at a later date. Maybe you can't see it, it's down here. It's a lectern, right? For arranging notes and, storing things underneath it, right? So I'm supposed to stand up at that. Are we good? We're good, okay. I'm supposed to stand up at that and speak to you from behind this little podium, right? This thing gets in my way, so I always just take it down. But the expectation here seems to be that I'm going to be running a lecture-style classroom. Now, that is a conclusion we can come to simply by analyzing certain objects in the room, right? The way the room is oriented. That's one pattern we can focus on. There's another pattern, though, that you guys started picking up on, but we sort of lost the thread of a minute ago. What about the state of the desks here, the broken clock?
The school is cheap.
Okay, that's a conclusion you can come to, that they're not replacing these materials, right? That the school either doesn't have the money or doesn't want to spend the money to fix broken infrastructure. But then what else do we see in the room in addition to the broken clock and the peeling marked up desks? Does everything in the classroom look like it is old and worn? Is there anything that looks relatively new?
And just the
The,
whiteboard.
well, I was gonna say both things actually. I'm quite sure that costs money, and the laptop and the paint, looks pretty.
Yeah, well, I think they had to repaint this room recently because the ceiling caved in and we had flooding. Yay! Yeah, they were replacing.
It's a new ceiling too then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were replacing the roof and they didn't tarp it up adequately, and then we got our summer monsoons and yay, flooding. But yeah, so yeah, the ceiling and the paint are actually relatively new. But yeah, I think you were pointing to the projector here, right?
Yes.
And the smart card, the little computer card over here. So we have a projector and a computer card, but the clock's busted and the desks are in terrible shape, right? The physical structure of the room is in bad shape. So what does that indicate to you, say, about, ooh, shit. Good, about university spending priorities?
Well, they'd rather spend money on, I don't want to say things you can use, but like electronic wise.
Okay,
over,
yeah.
like material things like desks and whiteboard.
Yeah, it's almost like they want to move away from the physical aspect of the classroom, right? To spend money on technology, right? New fancy technology will paper over the fact that the classroom is falling apart. Right. I say this not necessarily to criticize the signer of my paychecks, but to point out again how we can use details that we find are like, particularly these kinds of anomalous details, right? Things that don't seem to make sense together, to make some kind of meaning. And if this happens to lead you to say, hey, maybe the English building needs an upgrade, then I won't complain about that. But all right, so I think we get more or less how this works, right? We make observations, we look for details that seem to fit together or suggest a pattern, right? And then we try to figure out what that pattern might mean, what that pattern might indicate to us. So we're going to try again with a slightly different subject. I want you to make observations about me, about my dress, about my manner of speaking, my gestures, anything that you happen to notice about me. And keep it limited to observable details, right? Do not make any kinds of interpretive leaps yet, right? For example, one of the first things that students usually say when I ask this question, when I start this exercise is, you're married. It's like, well, okay, how do you know? You're wearing a ring, right? The thing I don't want to hear is, I don't want to hear you're married, right? The thing I want to hear is you're wearing a ring on the ring finger of your left hand, right? I want you to sort of keep it like sort of down to that level of observation. And I'm a big boy. I have, I'm fairly resilient, You're not going to hurt my feelings. So just be honest, make honest observations. Yeah, Mackenzie.
Your dress very casual.
Okay, what about my dress is casual?
The jeans.
Okay, I'm wearing.
tennis shoes.
Okay, yep. Jeans, tennis shoes. Yes, Carissa.
Well, You wear your hair long.
Okay,
Like-
long hair. Okay, yep.
The way that you talk, it's kind of like you want people to learn, but you don't care if they show up. Like you're gonna show them the information. And it's up to them whether or not they learn it.
Okay. Can you be a little bit more specific than that? Like, what is it about the way I talk that suggests that to you?
Just kind of when you were explaining the syllabus and stuff and how you start class at 9:30, and if you're not here, that's on you, not.
Okay, so that I do place particular limits and rules on you.
Yeah.
All right, expectation of responsibility. Okay, what else?
Facial hair.
Okay, yeah, I have a beard, yep. Good, keep going.
Shoes are a little worn and you're faded at the bottom of your shoe.
Okay. Okay.
I get kind of like a kind of hippie-ish vibe from.
Okay. But yeah. What exactly? Try to focus on some specific detail that gives you that vibe. What is it about me that gives you that vibe?
I guess just the hair and kind of like the long hair and kind of like the sweater type laid back kind of.
Okay. So the long hair and casual dress,
Yeah.
so we are now sort of merging observations together into a pattern, right? That suggests to you sort of hippie-ish attitude. What do we mean here by hippie? When you define hippie for me, like what does that mean to you?
I don't know. I just kind of think like, I don't know, back in the day, kind of just, I wouldn't say wow, but just kind of non-caring, just.
Well, I kind of get like from hippie, like down to earth, like just a calm
Okay.
personality.
Okay, other observations. Keep going.
You got a yellow coffee cup over there.
Okay, yeah, yellow coffee mug. Good, keep going.
Weird camera stand.
What's that?
Weird camera stand.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Your camera stand is weird.
Okay, yeah, weird camera stand. Okay, that's another thing is I don't really hear all that well, so just people really need to kind of speak up and be loud. Okay, what else?
On the yellow mug, it's the Lorax.
Okay, the Lorax is on my mug, yes. What else?
I don't see any like tattoos or jewelry or
Okay.
any kind of.
No jewelry and
something
no.
kind of personalized.
Okay, no jewelry, no visible tattoos. Okay, keep going. A couple more things. What about anything about the way I speak or the way I gesture?
Well, you don't sound like you're from Georgia. Like you don't
Okay.
have a strong Southern accent.
Okay, yeah. No Southern accent. What else?
Gesture every time you talk.
Okay, yep. I talk with gestures. Anything else?
Clumsy.
Pardon?
Clumsy.
Yeah, I'm a little clumsy, yeah. Right, I spilled my coffee, I tripped over that cord, yeah. So again, clumsy is more of an interpretation of a pattern of behavior, right? So you can assume that I'm clumsy, right, because I tripped and because I spilled coffee. And how do I seem to react to these kinds of fumbles?
Oh shit.
Yeah. Right. Right. Swears and curses. Okay, so we've already done sort of one example of putting together particular details to come up with an impression about what kind of person I am, right? Now, can we use any of these other details to suggest anything more, right? Any of this other stuff that we now, the no jewelry, no visible tattoos, does that seem to fit into the existing pattern that we've already established? Relatively down to earth. What about some of this other stuff? You know, the coffee, the talking with my hands, the clumsiness.
So you're wanting us to put the pieces together to now come up with a whole concept about you?
What's that?
Are you saying you want us to put these pieces together?
Basically, yeah. I'm asking you, yeah, to look for patterns that you think describe the sort of person you're dealing with.
You like very observant type. You like type person who just observant.
I mean, like, it's like you teach a class about it now, too. We're kind of catching up on that.
You the type of person just look over your shoulder whenever you.
Okay. So paranoid. Okay. Well, what about, like, what here suggests a little bit of paranoia?
Yes.
Oh, everything. Okay.
Oh, what?
What? Yeah. Which details that you've observed suggest a little bit of paranoia?
Talk with just.
Okay. The fact that I talk with my hands. Okay, yeah, I'm clumsy, so the fact that I'm talking with my hands and I'm a little clumsy suggests that I might be kind of nervous. And that nervousness might come from the amount of coffee that I drink. But what else, like, what makes me different from everybody else in this room, apart from my role in the room? Or from most of you in the room?
I mean, you're the only one in here that has beard.
Pardon?
You're the only one in here that has a beard.
Yeah.
You act like you're a morning person.
Oh, I am so, like, honestly, like you guys are lucky that I'm here and coherent and wearing pants. Yeah, I hate mornings. I aggressively dislike mornings. Yeah, if I had the choice, I wouldn't be teaching at 9:30. But here we go. So, you guys notice that I don't have any discernible Southern accent, right? Where do I sound like I'm from to you? I'm just curious.
I mean, you don't sound like you're from the north, per se, like Michigan and stuff, so
Okay.
maybe like,
So I don't sound like a Midwesterner.
yeah.
Okay. I don't sound like a New Englander, like Pepperidge Farm remembers. Pack the cow and pass the yard.
No.
Okay, just curious.
Where are you from?
This is, go ahead and elaborate now.
Pardon?
So, go ahead and elaborate now, you guys on.
Yeah, I'm originally from Eastern Pennsylvania. Have you ever seen The Office?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, Scranton. That is where I'm from. Yeah, it is a town that exists. It is very much like it is depicted in The Office, even though it's actually a soundstage in LA, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so what I'd like you to do with this particular technique, right? Breaking down details and using them to draw interpretations about any particular text. And but when we talk about a text, right, basically I'm talking about pretty much anything, right? You can do this with a TV commercial. You can do this with a novel. You can do this with a poem. You can do this with a pop song. You can do this with your kid sister's toys, right? Everything has some kind of rhetoric, right? Whether it's consciously trying to do so or not, everything is trying to persuade you of something. Right? So one thing we could draw from all of these details that we've just observed, right, is that I may be trying to appear down to earth and confident in front of you, right? But I keep tripping over all my own shit and spilling things, which could indicate that the confidence is a facade, right? That I'm actually really, really nervous in front of you. So my rhetoric here, right, the thing I'm trying to persuade you of, is the confidence. But I'm also doing other things that undercut that rhetoric, right? So what I want you to be looking for first, right, is what that rhetoric is like. What does this text, object, person, whatever, want me to believe? What is it trying to get me to think? We could do the same, we could sort of ask the same question based on our exercise of the classroom earlier, right? The projector and the computer cart make it look like the university wants you to think of it as forward-thinking and tech-savvy, right? But underneath that rhetoric of futurism, we have these shitty-looking desks, right? And, a sort of crumbling classroom. So what you're going to be doing for the homework assignment tonight, right? You're going to be doing this with a painting. You can choose the painting, right? Any painting you want. And you're going to write about 250 words describing the painting, breaking down its parts, and explaining what this painting seems to want to convince you of, right? What is it trying to persuade you of? What is the underlying rhetoric here? We're going to try an example of this in a minute. I also want you to include a JPEG file of the painting when you turn in the homework. And I suppose I should probably also show you where to turn in the homework, right? You won't be turning in any physical paper assignments for this class. Everything's going into a Dropbox. Tight up here. And once this loads up, I'll show you where that Dropbox is, where all of the assignments go. All of the assignments the homework assignments anyway, are listed in order, right? So you're just going to upload this to the first homework assignment folder. Okay, so you go to the course home page. You go to assessments. Actually, let's do view as student because your view is different from my view. Okay, so you're still going to go to assessments, click on assignments. Right. Writing analytically assignment 3, page 37, right? That's what you're turning in for Thursday.
Will these, like if you don't get it turned in on time, will they close to where you can't upload anything?
Yes, they will.
Okay.
Yes. These assignments must be turned in on time. And what we have listed here are the due dates for each assignment, right? Each of these assignments will close at the end of the week that it's due. So if you do not get me this assignment by the end of this week, then that folder is going to close, right? So you need to do the assignments on time. If for whatever reason you can't get an assignment done on time and you have a legitimate excuse as to why you can't get it done on time, come talk to me and I can set something up for you. But yeah, by and large, these are going to close. Yes?
How'd you get through there?
Pardon?
How'd you get through there?
You go to Georgia View, click on this particular course, and then at the top you see where it says assessments. You click on assessments, click on assignments, and it'll take you to this. And then you just click on whichever one you want to upload, right? And you'll see the ones that are dark, you can't upload those yet, right? So you can't work ahead either. You have to just do the ones that are due now. Okay, any questions just about the process of uploading the assignment? Okay. Then let's talk a little bit about a painting. Get the light so you can see this a little better. All right, can everybody see this all right? Okay, so this is a mural by the Mexican painter Diego Rivera. It's part of a larger series of murals about the revolution in Mexico and its aftermath. And before I say anything more about this, I want you guys to just sit and take a minute and pick this apart like we did with the classroom and like we did with me, right? So just look at the painting and tell me everything that you see here.
There's words in Spanish at the top.
Okay, yeah. Right. There are words in Spanish at the top. What else? Yeah, Mackenzie.
It's stylized.
Pardon?
It's stylized.
Okay, what do you mean by stylized?
Like, it's not naturalistic. Like, the people don't look natural.
Yeah, the people don't look like real human beings, right? Yeah, it's not non-realistic. Good, yeah. All right, good. What else do you guys notice?
Look like the lady on the right was in shock or something.
Pardon?
Like she looked shocked. Like
Well-
surprised or something.
Well, look at what she's doing here, right? She's got how's she have her head positioned?
Oh, she's singing?
Thrown back, yeah. Mouth is wide open, eyes are closed, right? Yeah. So she's singing. Okay, so we have a woman singing. Let's talk about these figures a little bit and what we notice about them. So let's actually stick with this woman singing for a minute. What else do you notice about this particular figure? Yeah, Mackenzie.
Oh, you're talking about just a woman?
Just the woman for now. Yeah, let's just focus on her for the moment.
You can't really see much of her hair.
Okay. Right, hair not visible. It's either done up in a tight hairdo or a hat, right?
She's singing to that boy on the elephant with like her hands on top of his head.
Does she look like she's singing to anyone at all?
Yeah, like what? Is that her hands on top of his head?
Yeah, she's got her hands on top of somebody's head, right? She's got her hands on another figure's head. And what else do we notice about this other figure? How is that figure different from all the others?
You can't see his face.
Yeah, this guy has his back to us. What else is weird about the figure she's leaning on?
He's sitting on some type of
Elephant statue.
Yeah, he's sitting on an elephant statue. Okay, so let's sort of head back out here now and pick something else to focus on and pick apart.
The guys at the top, It looks like they're holding guns and they have the,
Bandoliers.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
the military.
Yeah, the figures at the top are armed. Do they look like military though?
The guy on the right does.
Yeah, he's got kind of like a military, but what else are they holding apart from guns? Can everybody see what they're holding?
It looks like a mallet or a hammer.
Yeah, this guy's got a mallet
So it's like a militia.
and a sickle, right? Yeah. So they're carrying weapons and workers' tools. So yeah, probably as you're saying, more like militia than actual military, right?
The ones at the top, they all seem like disturbed or angry, and everyone else seems kind of like in some kind of prayer mode. Or,
Yeah, I agree. They're looking all grimacing, and the ones at the bottom are like, look like they're talking about something.
Yeah, the figures at the top look kind of threatening or menacing,
Yeah,
right?
they look like.
And who-
They
pardon?
being held captive in the room or something?
Pardon?
Are they being held captive in the room?
Well, do the figures at the bottom even seem to notice the figures at the top?
No.
No.
It's like, okay, they got thrown in the room or something, and they scared or something, so they praying, and she seen it, and they come back to check on her, but she didn't know about leave or something.
Well, but again, like, do the figures at the bottom seem to be interested in the people at the top at all?
No.
Do the people at the top seem to be interested in the people at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do these figures appear to be threatening to us or to them?
To them.
To them, right?
I feel
Yeah.
like the people on the bottom are like celebrating something, and then the people at the top are like not happy about it.
Okay, what suggests celebrating to you? What do we see the people at the bottom doing?
That girl is singing, and then there's musical
Mhm.
instruments there.
Okay, there's the woman singing, there's a guy with a harp.
but it seems kind of sorrowful, like sad. Kind of suggest that they're hoping for something, but not. It just seems sorrowful.
Okay, what?
The
What?
ones that, like the ones, well, I see the musical instruments and, the prayer. and
Uh-huh.
stuff, but it just seems like sadness.
Well, what about, think for a minute about this guy in the middle. What's going on with the guy in the middle?
Come on.
I got no
Personal
clue.
knowledge.
What's that?
It looks like a personal knowledge.
Okay, yeah, he's got like the long white beard, right? Great big wide eyes, right?
Well, I mean, I guess that would suggest he's
Yeah.
like
I'm sorry, what
wise,
is he
but-
wearing though? What are those calling you? Isn't that one like your
Yeah,
Second
he's-
Street?
He's got a freaking funnel on his head, yeah.
What? Like, just anybody else noticing that? I mean,
Right. So, what about the posture that he's in here? He's holding up some sort of stick or wand, right? And
Yeah.
he's holding a hand out like this. Does it really look like an attitude of prayer?
No.
it's like something out of Harry Potter.
Yeah, he's like a freaking wizard, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. More like a philosopher than a saint, right? But, yeah, he's wearing a stupid looking funnel on his head. So, right, musical instruments, people who sort of look well dressed and wise. Think again, like, what's the title of the painting?
Can you tell us?
The Intellectuals, or the Learned. So, what's going on here between these two groups of figures? How are these two groups related?
Related.
Within the picture, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think this is right, but the group on the bottom, they all kind of live kind of in harmony, like they're all
Uh-huh,
together, and
uh-huh.
the people at the top aren't. So
Mhm.
maybe the people at the top are kind of like longing for the thing on the bottom.
Do the expression on their faces, though, right? Do they look like they're longing for the thing on the bottom?
They look like they're about to come
Maybe
and bust
they
it
wanna
up.
get rid of it.
Yeah, they look like they're contemptuous of it and they want to get rid of it, right? So what we have here in this painting is a kind of like allegory of revolution, right? We have the working class in the back, heavily armed, carrying sheaves of wheat, workers' tools, right? Wearing workers' caps, workers' clothing. Do you notice a difference as well, like in the skin tone of the people on top of the building?
One at the bottom are lighter and one's in the back.
Yeah, the people on the bottom are much whiter than the people at the top. And the people at the bottom don't seem to have any interest in the people at the top, right? Don't even seem to notice them. They're in their own self-contained little orbit. And so they don't see that which is coming up to destroy them. Right? They're so caught up in themselves that they don't get the danger they're in, right? They don't comprehend it. Most of them even have their eyes closed. Except for this staring figure with a stupid-looking funnel on his head. But where is he looking?
Right at us.
He's looking right at us, right? Yeah. So the thing you would need to do, I think, to really figure out this painting, right? Does the painting seem hostile to the people in the front?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah, right? These are, out of touch, highly educated assholes who don't notice the suffering around them, right? But the thing we have to reckon with then, right? If the painting seems more sympathetic to the threatening group in the back, why is it the only person who's looking directly at us, the only person who's making eye contact with us, is this ridiculous figure with the funnel on his head?
Maybe he wants you to do something.
Like what? But I think we've spotted one of those sort of tension moments here, right? That the obvious rhetoric of the painting is that revolution is going to come and sweep these idiots away, right? But one of these idiots is the only thing in the painting that's making any real human connection with us. So, in a way, this undermines that more simplistic message that we initially found here, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you want them just to come by and break up the party. However, you feel a bit of sympathy for that guy looking right at you. So you're like, maybe don't go too hard on him.
But he is also ridiculous, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I think what we're getting here is that in addition to sweeping away a class of exploiters, right? Because we see particularly the woman singing here, right? I mean, she's literally leaning on another guy, right? She's literally leaning on this guy for support. That getting rid of this class of people who might otherwise be parasites, right, by also sort of destroys some real beauty in the world by destroying eccentricity. Right? By destroying the guy with the funnel on his head, right? You're also kind of taking away people's right to be weird. You're not giving people that social space anymore to be creative or to think differently. So this particular painting seems to be divided against itself in that particular way, right? On the one hand, yes, it wants to make fun of these people and glorify the worker struggle, but at the same time, there's something about these people that it misses and that it laments the passing of. All right, so you will find an example in the chapter on how to do this kind of work in detail with the painting, right, there's the bit towards the end of the chapter. It'll sort of give you an example using the famous painting Whistler's Mother. And what I want you to do is try to apply that method to a painting of your choice, right? Just make sure it's a painting. Try to go with something reasonably famous. And yeah, those are the only parameters, right, that I haven't already given you, right? It should be 250 words. Give me the JPEG of the painting as well. All right, any questions?
All right, so just so I have this right, the
Uh-huh.
homework is you pick a painting and you see what that painting is trying to tell you or persuade you to.
Yes. What is that painting trying to persuade you of?
Okay.
And if you see that it's kind of divided in the way this painting is, then bring that out. Try to bring that out too.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so are we supposed to basically analyze the painting, pick apart its different parts, and then show, so basically what we did here, just do that in words?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But you're probably going to want to do it, like since it's only 250 words, you're going to want to do it in a more focused kind of way, right?
Okay.
So you might have to do a little bit of drafting first. Okay. All right, you are free to go. So I will upload that chapter, for those of you who don't have the textbook yet, this afternoon. Right, make sure you have the homework assignment done by Thursday. This one, yep. Pardon?